right, Tom. Spring game. I don't know if you heard any of the Gruden highlight clip that we just played, but we kind of combined that with some Arkansas highlights from last week. I know there's a lot of questions. Coach Pittman is talking with the media a little later on today. And I know he's fielded some stuff, as has Travis Williams, Scott Fountain, Bobby Petrino, and other coaches in the offseason. I guess as we look forward to this spring game on Saturday, Tom, what are you looking forward to get your eyes on?
Hey, Ty. Pleasure to be with you. Missed you last Thursday. And I got to say, Phil's suggestion for what did he call it? The Pittsburgh Rare?
Pittsburgh Rare, Mr. Murphy.
I've lived all these years, and I do not know a Pittsburgh Rare steak. But to answer your question, Ty, I'm looking for a little bit more offensive fluidity than we saw from the first unit on Saturday's scrimmage. I thought the defense was flying around, and Xavier Sorey was the star of the show. But Quincy Rhodes had a good day with the pass rush. Several guys, Ian Giffard, their first line D-line got some push on that offensive unit. So I want to see a little bit better protection from the first O-line. There needs to be more separation from more receivers. On a lot of passes, Taylor would take the snap and look and wouldn't see first option, wouldn't see second option, and he scrambled some. So those types of things, and just a standout receiver. I want to see an Omega Blake or an Ishmael Cisse have a big red-white game. Yeah,
and you mentioned the standout receivers. This will be, for a lot of fans, Tom, a chance for them to see what Arkansas has there. And the dynamic, I think, is interesting with Taylor Green. Tom, if you look across the board, like Texas, no more Quinn Ewers. They're ushering the Arch Manning era. No more Jackson Dart in Oxford, Mississippi. I know like Lenora Sellers and DJ Lagaway are back at Florida and South Carolina, but there's a lot of turnover with SEC quarterbacks, and Arkansas has the luxury of having a guy back for year two.
It's one of the biggest blessings they have, and I don't want to be remiss. C.J. Brown, who had a good scrimmage the other day, he led the team with might have been 67-something yards in receiving, and he had 2 touchdowns. And K.J. Jackson was certainly looking for him. So he's a guy who could rise up as well. But just somebody who separates themselves a little bit, makes some great catches, gets open. And Taylor, his scrambling ability was on display. They ran RPOs with him in this scrimmage a little bit more than I expected, because I thought they would work on some things. I thought they wanted the running backs to see if they could break tackles. And certainly Rodney Hill did that, and Mike Washington had some broken tackles, but he also slipped on a real critical 4th and 2. I mean, there wasn't a hole, but when he got the snap, he tried to make an immediate cut and started to go down. Oh. And then before he could lunge and try to get the 2 yards, they got to him. So I say all that to say I'd just like to see a little bit more synchronicity out of what they're doing offensively.
Tom Murphy's our guest, Whole Hog Sports, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, brought to you by the Arkansas Beef Council. Tom, you mentioned Mike Washington. I know it's the running back you're familiar with, but for a lot of our listeners, they didn't even know he's on the team. Kind of give us some insight on the transfer that is looking to wreak some havoc in the backfield for Arkansas this fall.
Yeah, I think he's from New York, but just a little bit of an under-recruited type state, and he was at New Mexico State and had a solid year. But he's going to, with Braylon Russell and him and Rodney Hill, you've got a pretty good 1-2-3. Hill obviously more the scat back type, but man, he broke tackles, and he was running up the middle on his 2 touchdown runs against the second unit defense the other day. So he showed some toughness as well. But Washington's just a solid back. Wears number 4. He's got some wiggle to him and some power. He looks like Jaquindon Jackson was as much as we thought or more last year. This guy might fit in that mold. I just don't know if he'll get the same amount of reps with the other backs they have.
I know Jaquindon's really issue was the 2 issues were the fumbles and the durability. I know that the fumbles some key sequences, but Tom, there were times that felt like he was leading the SEC in both touchdowns and rushing yards, and Arkansas was using him over and over again. Felt like that he definitely had some really good games for the Hogs this past season.
Jaquindon was one of my favorite. He was probably one of the favorite transfers because he was just so outspoken and funny. But if he doesn't drop that pitch against Oklahoma State, that changed the the momentum of the game. And Oklahoma State was a little bit dead before that. I mean, I know they had gotten the interception return touchdown, but that was a huge play in the game. And then it was so hot down on that turf. I know it was in the 80s, but he had to come out of the game because he was cramping. But we got down there after the game, and it was burning up on that turf. And I guess I understand it a little bit, having been down there.
Portal opens tomorrow, Tom. How crazy is it going to be? I mean, I know it's been crazy with the Nico story. We'll get into that in a sec. But what are you expecting starting tomorrow across, not just here in Fayetteville, but college football?
We got the House settlement about to happen, so it looks like, there's some reporting you're seeing on that, which could change more. But I'm not a fan of the direction of the NIL. I like the players getting paid, but the way it got implemented was a bust. The Razorbacks have got to go out and get themselves, I think, a DN. It would help to get a D tackle, and I'm talking about guys who are potential starters, but certainly rotation guys. They could use a safety in a corner or a couple of safeties. They just need some depth. Can they go get a receiver? I don't know, but their defensive numbers need to be supplemented more than their offensive numbers. We were told these old linemen, they were going to make a big difference. Well, they need to show up at the red-white game. And I don't know if they'll add any. I mean, they probably might try to add a tight end maybe a receiver, but mostly we're talking about defensive linemen and defensive backs.
Tom, let me we'll let you go with this baseball-wise. Number 2 team in the country coming off a tough series loss where they almost beat the Georgia Bulldogs this past weekend. You got UAPB tonight, and then you got Texas A&M, who's actually come on strong as of late, won 5 of their last 6. Just thoughts on maybe what occurred this past weekend in Athens and what lies ahead against the Texas A&M Aggies. Yeah,
what a wild series, a fantastic series that was at Georgia. I mean, Georgia within 1 out of winning, and Lehigh Lloyd hits the home run, and then Arkansas within 1 out of winning, trying to stretch Adrian Jimenez as long as he could go. And then Georgia gets a key double and then winds up winning the game. It could be one of the best regular season series of this entire season because of how tight it was, other than the 9th inning in game 1 when the Razorbacks blew them out. But so Arkansas is facing a little bit of adversity. First 2-game losing streak of the year, should be able to handle UAPB. But then A&M, I think they were a unanimous number 1 pick atop the polls.
Mm-hmm.
And they got off to a bloody start in the SEC, and they were sitting there. I think they were at 1-9. And now they're coming off a series where they rallied and hit 2 grand slams to beat South Carolina in the 9th to sweep that series. They are coming in with tons of momentum. So this is going to be a very tough, critical series for the Razorbacks to get back on balance.
Big series ahead for the Hogs. Tom, we'll leave it there, man. We always appreciate you joining us, and we'll see what happens this weekend and tonight at Baum Walker.
You betcha, man. Y'all, happy Easter to everybody. See ya.